right. We're here with Vinnie from Less Than Jake.
Yep.
Very nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you, my friend.
Sorry for this crappy weather.
I'm used to it. I live in Florida.
Yeah.
Either it's super hot or raining very hard. So
Been there,
I feel home.
All right, cool. Vinnie, you were with the band from the start, right?
Yes.
Debut album came out in 1995?
1992.
92?
Yeah.
It was an EP or?
It was our first record. 95 was yes.
All right, cool.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. How do you look back at that record now? When it's been years. It's what, 20 years almost.
Yeah. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary for Losing Streak right now. So Pescore, which was 95 with the record that you're talking about. When you look back on it, it's kind of a blur, to be honest with you, because when you first start a band, you're just writing songs to sort of get it out. You have ideas and you just want to form them together with people that are like-minded, you know? So when you look back on it, it was just kind of relaxed. I'm not even sure how those songs came together, because it came together so gradually over a span of time. It wasn't until Losing Streak, where we were on tour all the time, going, okay, we have to carve out this many weeks to write and record. So I remember that very directly. But Pescore, Losing Streak, those songs just flowed naturally, and it was about just playing music to play music with friends. There was no other agenda like, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna get signed to this. It was just making music, because getting what you feel out, not only musically but lyrically, and those are the important things. That's what, for me, punk rock always had been. It's channeling this sort of what you're feeling out, and whether that's anger, or whether that's aggression, or whatever it is, whatever emotion. For me, punk music was always that. It was the ability to take what you have inside and push it out.
Yeah. Now looking back 20 years ago, how would you say the band evolved to? It became a lot more professional. Is that DIY? Is it still going?
Well, less than Jake right now. We self-manage ourselves. Yeah. We record with our bass player Raj. Every decision that gets made is made by the band. So it's this weird kind of 360 that happened with Less Than Jake. When Less Than Jake first started, it was handled, do it yourself. Everything was us. And then you get a manager, and then this. And then you realize that after an X amount of time that no one could speak for you more than you could speak for yourself. So Less Than Jake currently, and since 2006, it's just Less Than Jake making decisions. We manage ourselves, and we put out our own records when we want to, and we work with other labels when we want to. So that's a good thing. It feels good to be in that position after X.
You're in control about everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to talk about the lineup, because you guys have been together for so long. And I don't think there's a lot of bands around that can say it, because the lineup is very steady. Since the beginning. Maybe only the horn section.
Horn section flew out,
The rest of the lineup just stayed together. How do you do that as a band? Because 20 years is a long time to be friends. And
at a certain point, you start to know what buttons to push. And, if I want to piss somebody off, I know exactly how to dial it up, right? But, there's a certain point again that you get, I spend more time with Chris and Raj and the rest of the dudes than I do with my family sometimes. And when I look back on it, I go, hey, these are my brothers. So no matter what it is, they're still my brothers. So there's that bond that happens with Less Than Jake now. It's that you go through the hard times and the good times and everything in between. They're my brothers. So that's how it is.
Cool. You write the lyrics for the band, right?
I do.
How does Chris feel about saying those? Because they're not his words.
Sometimes it's a rough thing. But also, again, go back to that original thing that I was saying. I play punk music, and I gravitated towards punk music to get what I want out. And I use Less Than Jake to exercise fucking demons. And good, the goods. Obviously, I have some stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that's a little bit darker in there. And for the style of music that we do, having that darker sort of vibe sometimes is a little bit confusing for people. But Chris sometimes looks at me and goes, dude, I'm going to sing this, but it's kind of weird. And I'm like, and sometimes we edit a little bit just to make it a little bit a different thing. But sometimes, and I do try to write about a collective experience, not just a very specific thing. So it's a collective experience. I know that I've been divorced and Chris has been divorced, and when I write about that particular thing, he's feeling that same particular thing. So I'm very cognizant of that.
You don't keep him in mind writing lyrics, it's just...
So I don't keep him in mind when I'm writing, but I write towards a collective thing, not specifically for me. This sort of selfish thing, I don't do that. It's more about the collective. And some stuff that's very, very, very specific, I just push over to the side and it doesn't ever get to the collective.
You guys are an American band. America is going crazy about presidential elections. How do you feel about that? And you don't have to answer this, but are you supporting a candidate or?
Here's where I'm at with it. Let me go with the least specific, right? At first, the American political system right now is in a massive shambles. Because there's a point where there's a thing called superdelegates. And superdelegates, basically, that's who's in charge of, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, but they have a massive influence on who actually is the nominee. So people now are starting to wake up in America going, well, if we don't have a say, then, and they have a say, and they meaning not the working class, or lower middle class, or whatever, however, if they are telling, or ultimately are saying who's the nominee, and we're not, they have issue. There's an issue with that, man. And there's an awakening in America about the political system, and that's a great thing, okay? But Bernie Sanders would be the candidate that I would be supporting. Unfortunately, Bernie Sanders is not going to be a nominee. It's going to be
reading up on it. It's sad to see.
It's going to be Hillary Clinton, and it's going to be Donald Trump. And it's the scariest thing. A friend of mine, not to get deep into a political thing, but a friend of mine sent me a speech that Donald Trump just did, and they went point by point about a speech that Ronald Reagan did. Right? So if you think back to Ronald Reagan, or go back there and get your head around Ronald Reagan, it was a very weird and dark time for America. You know, so if whoever's in charge of Donald Trump now is steering him sort of that Reagan thing, America first,
it's going to be a
very hyper America, a hyper pro America. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, indeed.
It's going to be wild. And it's not a joking matter, but I was making this sort of sarcastic remark to friends who are also watching politics in America, and they said, "Who are you going to vote for?" I go, "Well, I'm trying to figure out with drone strikes. So, will Bernie Sanders do a drone strike on an American citizen? No. Will Bernie Sanders do a drone strike in Afghanistan? Probably not." Bernie Sanders, that's my guy. Will Donald Trump do a drone strike on an American citizen?
He probably
would. Drone strike anywhere else in the fucking world? Absolutely. Hillary Clinton, drone strike in the United States? No. Drone strike everywhere else in the world? Absolutely. So it's the joke, and it's sort of not a joking matter, but
it makes a point clear.
It makes a point very clear of where America is right now.
Indeed.
So there it is.
All right. I'm gonna do the last question. The band name. Is it true that it all started with a dog?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. My parents had an English bulldog, and they treated that dog better than anyone that was in the family. There'd be specific parts of the couch where only the dog could sit. And then there'd be specific places where, okay, you're eating this, but the dog's eating this thing that's better than what you're eating. So everything, the dog's name was Jake, and everything in my house was Less Than Jake. And it started out as like sort of a joke. Oh, it's Less Than Jake, and that's the name of our band, but like many jokes, it sticks around, good or bad. So 25 years in, the joke is still around.
Oh, I forgot one question. Who do you want to see perform today?
Today, Frank Turner.
Choice?
And then Rancid, obviously, is a good one. Other than that, I wish I was here tomorrow, because that would be dag nasty. It would be up on my list of things. Pears as well. Mad Caddies, even though they're doing acoustic today, but I'd like to see them play live, electric. So there's my thing. Agrolites, though, they're going on first in the main stage. that's going to be a good time.
All right.
There it is. Agrolites first.
Vinny, thank you for the interview.
Right on, brother.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Have a good show, man.
Thanks, man.
Bye.